Welcome back to the best division in football with your boys Authentic and The Beard. The best television show not on TV. Had to borrow my brother's beat here to open up the show because I must admit, I'm kind of feeling a little bit hyped this week about this New York Giants game, man. Welcoming those Tampa Bay Buccaneers to MetLife Stadium, where your boy Tommy Devito is actually 2-0 at MetLife Stadium. We got a new quarterback here in New York. I guess it's a new quarterback, but I'm feeling some kind of way. Maybe my fandom is a little bit reinvigorated today. But we got 4 games to go over today on the show. Eagles at Rams. That's a hell of a game right there, man, with 2 teams that really need a victory. Also got the Bucs taking on the New York Giants. Obviously, the Dallas Cowboys are traveling over here to Washington, D.C. to take on those Commanders. And tonight, Thursday Night Football, the red-hot Pittsburgh Steelers are taking on the not-so-hot, more of like your toilet bowl brown Cleveland Browns. It's going to be a tough game tonight for them if they want to try to get a victory. But let's get right to it. We're definitely strapped on time here. Let me bring in the best co-host in the country, the left side to the strong side duo one time, my brother from another mother. Shout out to my Dukes one time. Y'all know what it is. The Beard is in the building. What's going on, my dog?
Ah, man. I had pupusas today for lunch.
That was the highlight of the day, was the pupusas.
Listen, shout out to my wife. She's watching with our young nephew. But yeah, it's Dallas week, and there's been so much talk here in DC.
Yeah.
About the rivalry and this and that. And look, like, there's people that want it. Like, I don't care if both these teams suck. I don't care if one team has beat the other team more than the other team in the last 10, 20 years. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you are raised on Washington football, it don't matter.
Yeah, I agree with you.
The goal is to beat Dallas. Like, I understand, like, there's the competitiveness might not have been there over the past couple of years. And it sucks that now that we are a completely different organization going in a different direction, that Dallas is in the dumps, right?
Yeah,
because
tough.
then we're going to get the excuse, it was Cooper Rush and Rico Dottle.
You have nothing to win here because if y'all lose this game, Dallas is really going to let y'all have it.
It's hell. But, like, for me, it's just that, like, this means something to me. If you're a fan and you grew up on this football team, it means something to you. And I will argue that it means something more right now, this year, this first game, than it has in a long time, because we've been checking off boxes all year long on things that we wanted to see changed from this organization from top to bottom. Checking off a victory against Dallas is going to be huge, because I can't remember the last time we beat Dallas, to be perfectly honest with you. I think it was Thanksgiving, maybe a couple years back.
That's a good question right there.
So
I couldn't tell you the last time y'all beat Dallas.
So, like, for me, like, I'm amped up. I'm excited about that. I had to bring out the Beat Dallas T-shirt. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just been a wild day of football, to be perfectly honest with you. Obviously, the whole Daniel Jones playing safety situation today at practice, the press conference, you know what I'm saying? So, like, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of talk around every one of these teams in the NFC East for different reasons, And once again, it's weird. Philadelphia Eagles, they always catch the heat, right, when they're not doing well. But when the Eagles are playing well, it's almost like everybody's just kind of like,
this is where they should be kind of vibes.
Yeah, they don't give them any credit, and it's like, I saw a guy today, I just saw this video, Lord Brunson just retweeted with this.
Oh, that's my dog right there. Shout out Lord Brunson.
Yeah, big shout out Lord Brunson. And he retweeted this guy on TikTok who said said that Jalen Hurts isn't a top 15 quarterback in the NFL. and says that the Eagles would be undefeated if Jalen Hurts wasn't their quarterback.
I mean, yeah, now you just threw the hate on it after. I think you could possibly try to find a way to make a case that he was not top 15. It'd be tough, though. There are a lot of good quarterbacks in the league, but I got Jalen Hurts in my, top 12, I would say, right now.
So it was just, it's just kind of crazy. And shout out Chris Peace. Chris Peace says it was Sam Howell's first start of his career, the last game of the season when we beat Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
Dallas was
And now that he said it, I did have it in my notes. I remember that was Sam Howell's first start. Yep.
Well, let's rock and roll, I guess. Now I'm my energy level.
I know you hype. I can tell. I'm pretty hyped too, man.
Games.
A little bit of a change of scenery. So I'm definitely looking forward to this matchup. With the New York Giants and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But let's get right into it, man. I know we're kind of short on time here. We got the night game here on Thursday Night Football, Amazon Prime. They've been doing a hell of a job with these broadcasts. And I even been checking out the music concerts that they've been putting on after the games and whatnot. I think they should combine those broadcasts. I think that would be really cool. But let's get started off with that team, with Jalen Hurts, with the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to be traveling to L.A. to take on the Rams here. All right, man. My games are kind of all out of order on the back end, but shout out to the graphics department for holding it down. You know what it is, man. The Eagles are coming into this game at 8-2. Like I said, they are red hot. The Los Angeles Rams are 6-5, finding ways to salvage their season. This game is Sunday night at 8:20 p.m. I got the Eagles favored by 3. I see the update there is 2.5. The Rams have a few young players from this 2024 NFL draft that I've really wanted the New York Giants to target. Braden Fisk being the number one guy that I wanted. I was thinking maybe he could be there around in the 3rd round, but that was not the case. They also got Jared Verse, his brother from Florida State, who has 11 TFLs, 4.5 sacks on the season. He's pressuring the quarterback on 20.2% of his pass rush snaps this season, which ranks 2nd in the NFL right now. And this dude is a rookie. The other guy is their safety, 3rd round draft pick, Cameron Kitchens, out of Miami. I was super high on this guy. I thought he was going to maybe fall later than he did. 8 tackles, 1 TFL, 1 interception, and a forced fumble just last week versus the Patriots. And the Rams did end up beating the Patriots 28-22. Last week, the Eagles beat the Commanders 26-18 in a game that was a little bit farther of a spread than what the actual scoreboard was. And the last meeting between these two teams, the Eagles beat the Rams 23-14. That was in October of 2023. And Jalen Hurts put up over 300 passing yards and over 375 total yards of offense. He was the guy in that game. We have to rely on a guy like Jalen Hurts in this game if the Eagles really want to get a victory here. People talking about the Eagles on this 6-game winning streak. They're headed for 7 here if they could beat the Rams, and the competition has been a little bit weak there outside of the Commanders, Cowboys, Jaguars, Bengals, Giants, and the Browns. But the Eagles have scored over 20 points in all 6 of their wins, 25 points, over 25 points in 5 of the 6 wins. The Eagles have won 8 of the last 10 matchups versus the Rams. They've owned the Rams pretty much since 2005. The Rams are 1-7 versus the Eagles in their last 8 games. But Matthew Stafford, he is 4-2 versus the Eagles. So this is a different Rams team. He put up 337 yards in a career game for him, one of his best games ever. 5 touchdowns versus the Philadelphia Eagles. That was in 2015. The Eagles have won all 3 games in Los Angeles since the Rams moved back in 2016. They're dealing with a couple of injuries here for the Philadelphia Eagles. Bryce Huff being the main guy who was just placed on IR with that wrist injury. Devonta Smith coming in banged up with the hamstring. Nakobe Dean, limited participant in practice, along with Jalen Hurts on Wednesday. They are getting back a little sneaky, maybe a fantasy play here with Britton Covey at the wide receiver position. Also does a little bit of special teams, coming back off a shoulder injury. This is a game where I would absolutely expect a slow start, not only from the Philadelphia Eagles, but from the Los Angeles Rams. Both of these teams do not score in the first quarter. Eagles average 1.4 points per first quarter. The Rams are averaging 1.3. So this is going to be a slow start unless something goes a little bit left here. The Eagles scored their first quarter points just a few weeks ago, and the Rams haven't scored in the first quarter in any of their last 3 games. So got to get some of their playmakers involved if you want to get some points in the first quarter, first half, get off to a fast start. I think that's going to be important for both teams in this game. Got to get A.J. Brown involved. Obviously, the Eagles got to rely on their number one playmaker, if you ask me, is Saquon Barkley right now. And the Eagles have the best rushing offense in the NFL right now, 181.3 rushing yards per game. Saquon is averaging 113.7 rushing yards per game just on his own. He's got 100-plus scrimmage yards in 8 of the 10 games that he has played in this year, and the Eagles have rushed for at least 150 yards and 2 touchdowns in 5 straight games. I know the competition ain't that great, but that is very impressive. We know about the Barkley numbers on the season, already breached 1,100 yards on the year, his 4th season over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns on the year, 5.8 yards per carry, which is 2 more yards per carry than your boy Kyron Williams, who's also having a pretty good year. Had a couple of games that he missed there, but Saquon with 26 explosive runs over 10 yards. And Jalen Hurts really adds to that rushing attack. We know now that in the past 5 seasons, maybe even more than that, the top teams when it comes to rushing yards per game will always have a quarterback that can add to the rushing attack, and Jalen Hurts has absolutely done that with 417 rushing yards in 10 games. Barkley, man, he has 7 runs over 30 yards, 3 runs over 55 yards, and he had that screen pass last week that went over 50 yards as well. These guys are playing really good football. This is a really good test going up against the Rams. Jalen Hurts has been playing pretty much flawless football, just 2 turnovers since the Eagles bye. He was 18 of 28 last week, 221 yards in a quiet game, but he did get in the end zone. 17 total touchdowns, 1 interception during this 6-game winning streak, 8 passing, 9 rushing. We talked about that on the last show. But the most impressive thing for me with Jalen Hurts is the total touchdowns. 23 total touchdowns on the year to just 5 interceptions. He is a guy now that is becoming known for not turning the ball over outside of what happened on the back half of last season. And I think that Jalen Hurts is much better when the birds are healthy. And A.J. Brown is that difference maker. They've won every game with A.J. Brown on the field this year. Despite missing multiple games, Brown still leads the NFL in receptions over 30 yards. He's averaging 18.7 yards per carry. So you got to get A.J. Brown involved. Obviously, the Rams want to get their playmakers involved. When they're healthy, their offense also gets a big spark as well. Puka Nacua has at least 7 receptions for 98 yards in 3 of his past 4 games. He caught his first touchdown last week against the New England Patriots. The injuries have definitely been an issue. And Cooper Kupp, chasing a little bit of history here, 614 receptions through his first 98 games. It's the 4th most in NFL history through 100 games. He still has 2 more to go. Matthew Stafford balling out when these guys are on the field. He has not been sacked 1 time in the last 3 wins for the Los Angeles Rams. So I would look for them to get things going on their offense with guys getting back healthy. This should be a high-scoring affair. How you looking at this matchup between 2 teams that are definitely in a must-win situation here?
This should be fun. You know, Puka and Cooper Kupp against that Philadelphia secondary is going to be a matchup that I'm going to have my eyes on. Because after watching Philadelphia's secondary against Washington, albeit Washington is obviously not the same wide receiving core as the Rams, but, I mean, that Philadelphia secondary is really, really good. And they're really young. But it's going to be interesting, like you said. I mean, some of the opponents that they face, I mean, that out of all those teams that you mentioned, I mean, Jamar Chase, Terry McLaurin, there's not a lot of other top-tier wide receivers that they face in this winning streak. But to go up against Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, the way that they play the position and the way that Sean McVay designs his plays and that offense runs, it's going to be interesting to see how Philadelphia defends that sort of offensive attack. And I think that it's more important for LA to get out in the lead early than Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I think Philadelphia, the Rams can recover from falling behind a little bit. The Eagles can, I think, once they start having to feel like they're pressing, I think that's when Philadelphia plays their worst ball. And especially early on, Sirianni and that offense have a tendency to get away from what works really well for them, a la Saquon Barkley in the running game. So I think that it's important for LA to kind of put the pedal to the metal early out the gate. You talked about A.J. Brown leading the league in those 30-plus yard receptions. The Eagles are 8th in yards per catch in this season in the NFL. They're averaging 12 yards per reception.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
More than Malik Neighbors.
8.
That's a lot.
So, you know, like they're going to have to find a way to limit those sort of big plays. I talked about that in the matchup with Philadelphia and Washington last week. And you named all those big runs by Saquon. And then you talked about A.J. Brown. There's power there. We didn't even mention Devonta Smith. You know, so I think that both these offensive have playmakers on that side of the ball that can make big plays. Kyron Williams is a dog, but I feel like they've gotten away from Kyron Williams a little bit over the past couple of games. You know, they relied on him heavily when they were down Puka and Cooper Kupp. And I think that this offense works best if you find a way to mix in both of those sort of situations. Matthew Stafford is a quarterback. He's a quarterback, okay? And he's one of those guys that he'll throw some mind-scratching interceptions sometimes, but they're not like it's just him trying to make a play, right? And sometimes he'll take a sack, but the Rams have allowed the 7th fewest sacks all season with 21. And, Philadelphia has been finding ways to get after the quarterback as well. And I think on the flip side of that, it's going to be important for the Rams to try and find a way to get to the quarterback. The Philadelphia Eagles have the 3rd highest sack percentage in the league. They're getting sacked 9.8% of their dropbacks. Now, Jalen Hurts isn't throwing the ball 30, 40 times a game.
Right.
So, the volume isn't necessarily there, but there's going to be opportunities for them to get to the quarterback. They have to contain those edges. Talked about Philadelphia's rushing attack. The Rams are 18th against the run right now. They're giving up 127.3 on the ground. So they're going to have to find a way to contain Saquon to a certain extent. I'm not saying they're going to, or, he might go
what's
over 100.
What's the number on the roadmap? What's the number? We're talking 90? What are we talking if we had a roadmap for the Rams?
You got to keep Saquon under a buck at all times. You got to keep him under a buck. I mean, your chances of winning go down as soon as he crosses over that century mark. That's just a known fact. Listen, the Rams have to find a way to run the ball. They're one of 7 teams in the NFL to average under 100 rushing yards per game.
Damn, 1 of 7. That's interesting. Yeah,
so
Kyler must not be on that role he was on in the beginning of the year.
Exactly, and that's why I said that I think that they got to find a way to use Kyren Williams, because there was a streak there where Kyren Williams had a touchdown. Felt like it was 7 games in a row.
He's still getting in the end zone a lot. His longest run of the year is 30 yards. And, with Saquon having 7 over that mark, it's interesting. He's, averaging 2 more yards per carry, too, which is Kyron's still having an effective season. I think it's,
of course, yeah.
I think it's right around 3.9. I think he's at 3.9 yards per carry.
And listen, they're going to have to also stop Philly on 3rd down. The Rams are not very good 3rd down defense, 6th worst in the league, 33.9%. Philadelphia, I talked about that secondary. 2nd fewest passing yards per game allowed. They're only allowing 173.2 passing yards per game.
Okay, I got to pause you here because the passing yards for the Eagles defense it's been pretty amazing.
Yeah.
They're allowing under 155 passing yards in half of their games.
That's
2
crazy.
games they held opponents under 50 net passing yards. The crazy part about that stat is that it had never been done in the history of the league. And 2 teams have done that. It was the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants now, and it all happened in this season, which is interesting for a defense like the Philadelphia Eagles to be ramping it up at this particular time. They've only allowed 22 passing touchdowns or 2 passing touchdowns during their 6-game winning streak. Only Joe Burrow has had over 200 passing yards versus the Philadelphia Eagles during this 6-game winning streak. So that pass defense, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, Slay out there, Gardner Johnson on the back end of that defense, they've been playing lights out. And remember how shaky they started off the first couple of games?
That was like the question mark.
Yeah, we thought I can remember a couple of tweets. These people will remain nameless. But right after the Eagles had lost their 2nd game, they were like, oh, the wheels are falling off for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I was like, just pump your brakes, allow them to get healthy here. Things are going to change here, and I also think with the maturation of Jalen Carter also, it's really helping out the back end of that defense as well.
He's a tough task. And listen, the Los Angeles Rams offensive line is not very good. So I think you're going to see, if I were the Rams, I would run quick everything. I would try to run as much no huddle as possible. I would run a lot of quick stuff. I would run some shotgun run plays, that sort of situation, to try your best to keep Philadelphia off balance, because not only is Philadelphia allowing the 2nd fewest passing yards per game, they're allowing the 7th fewest rushing yards per game. 99.9 yards rushing, which is interesting. Good old
niner for you.
Yeah,
right
a little
there.
99.9, which is interesting because I mentioned that the Rams are one of only 7 teams to average under 100 yards rushing. So everything that you kind of lay on the table here, the big thing I think in this game is turnover differential. And I really jumped into some turnover differential numbers this week for these games. So I will mention these stats throughout the entire the show. But Philadelphia is +2. Los Angeles Rams are +4. So the Rams actually have the 6th best turnover differential in the NFL. Philadelphia 8th best. So I mentioned this last week. I mentioned it on Tuesday. The Rams cannot turn the ball over.
Yeah.
Philadelphia does not lose if the team they are playing turns the ball over. So if you want to win, the Rams got to be smart with the ball. It's going to be difficult, but I think that I think the Rams can put up a good game here against Philadelphia. I would not be shocked if the Rams won this game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I'm right there with you.
And obviously, like it's a reasonable expectation here because look at the line. Vegas has them at -2.5. I know that they're a road favorite, but still -2.5 against it's an 8-2 team against a 5-5 team. And the Rams need this game if they want to stay in the mix for the NFC West because that division, I don't think you're going to get a wild card out of that division.
Right.
I think you're going to get a division winner.
You got to get on top of all those other teams for sure. And
Purdy,
what is the Cardinals still leading the division
Cardinals
right
are
now?
leading the division right now. Purdy left practice today, about 5 minutes into practice. Can't throw the football right now. So there's trouble in San Francisco. The Rams need to win this game. I don't think it's hard for me to pick against Philadelphia right now. They are just firing on all cylinders. I was thinking about it. I said, this might be a sneaky pick here. I'm going to take the Eagles to win this game. I'm going to go 27-24.
Oh, I like the score. I do like the score. I'm going to go 27-20. You did talk about the Eagles' pass rush, and I'll tell you something that's really interesting before we move on from this game. They have 28 sacks right now in 10 games, right, which is it's decent. But the Eagles' pressure rate is fourth lowest in the NFL right now at 18.3%. They have the second fewest quarterback knockdowns with just 20 and the third fewest quarterback hurries. So it's interesting. They're not really putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback. I don't know if you saw the post about me comparing the three edge rushers, Danielle Hunter, Brian Burns, and your boy Dorrance Armstrong from a value standpoint. But I think that, with the Eagles, it makes that pressure and it makes that the sack numbers very interesting because they're not getting after the quarterback that much. But the way that back end of that defense is playing, I do expect them to win this game. Both teams kind of played a little bit ugly last week until, the fourth quarter for the Philadelphia Eagles where they put up 21 points. But the Rams, struggling against the New England Patriots, rookie quarterback, stuff like that, I really don't like that. And I was with you. I thought this game could be close. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Philadelphia Eagles to win this one 27-20. That's my score.
Locked and loaded in the book.
All right, let's talk about the man of the hour. I'm doing all for the rest of the season, bro. Remember how much I hated this? I hated it. Hey, Tommy DeVito, you got a new fan, man. Let's talk about these Tampa Baker Buccaneers traveling to MetLife to take on Tommy DeVito and the New York Giants.
Giants are on the board with 11:16 to go here in the third.
Shout out to the Giants Nation in the building one time. Y'all know what it is, man. The Bucs coming in at a surprising 4-6 for a team that is a pretty good team. Started off really well. The Giants are sitting at 2-8 for the second season in a row. Kickoff is Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I got the Bucs by 5.5 here. Last meeting, the Buccaneers beat the Giants 30-10. That was in Tampa Bay on November 22nd, 2021. Last week, both teams were on the bye, but in Week 10, the Buccaneers did lose to the 49ers. Last-minute loss to them, 23-20. The Giants lost to the Panthers in Germany, 20-17 in overtime on a Tyrone Tracy fumble on the first snap in the extra period. This is going to be a revenge game for my dog one time, Sterling Shepard, with those Tampa Baker Buccaneers. He's been playing some pretty decent ball this season. The Bucs started the season 3-1, and since then, they've been 1-6. They have really fell off the last, I won't even say couple of weeks, the last tough 7 games here. It's been a tough schedule, and I'm going to definitely bring up some of that stuff. Their only win is versus the New Orleans Saints, where they beat them 51-27 in that game. The losses came to San Francisco, Kansas City, Atlanta, Baltimore, and a second loss to Atlanta. So Atlanta already has the divisional games over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All of those were one-score losses, except the Baltimore Ravens game. The Bucs have allowed 31.3 points per game and 425.3 yards per game over the last 2 games. Now, we're talking against the 2 Super Bowl teams that represented each conference, the Chiefs and the 49ers, so you could take that with a grain of salt. I think the Bucs are in prime position here if they can just beat the New York Giants, because if they beat the Giants, you get the Panthers, then you get the Raiders after that, and they still got to play the Panthers another time, I believe. This could be the beginning of a 3-game winning streak for the Bucs, if you ask me. Now, for the Giants, they have not started 2-9 since Daniel Jones' rookie season. They lost 9 straight games that year in 2019 from weeks 5 through weeks 13. They started off the year 2-11. And then Daniel Jones got hurt, and Eli came in and beat the Miami Dolphins to stop The loss is at 11
I remember
temporarily.
That was
Remember
that was a primetime game, wasn't it? Like a Monday or Sunday night game.
I think it was a primetime game. I can't truly remember, but Eli came out there, and that was like the last hurrah of Eli Manning right there. The Giants also did start out 2-13 in 2017. 2017 and 2019 are the only two times the Giants started out 2-9 post 2003, where I couldn't even really dig up the game logs before that. It was going to be some serious internet research. So take that with 2003 and beyond. The Giants defense now no longer leads the league in sacks anymore either. The Broncos are in first place now with 39 sacks. The New York Giants have kind of been stuck in the quicksand here. They're second in the NFL with 36 sacks. Brian Burns does have 6 sacks, including 5 in the past 6 games. Dexter Lawrence is second in the NFL with 9 sacks. Since week 4, the Bucs have more sacks than any other team in the NFL. 26 sacks since week 4, at least 2 sacks in 7 straight games for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Giants have not had an interception in 9 straight games. That is a franchise record right now. And the only other NFL team that has, we are actually the only team in the NFL with 1 interception. There are a few teams that have 2 interceptions. And Baker Mayfield, I think, all the naysayers have been proved wrong on Baker Mayfield. A guy was having good seasons with the Cleveland Browns as well, but now with the Bucs has been playing some really solid football for the past couple of years. And when they're healthy, Baker Mayfield is that much better of a quarterback. That is the theme of this show, is when they're healthy, all right? Yeah. Mike Evans has been sidelined now for 3 games. I went back and I looked at a couple of highlights from the Baltimore Ravens game, and, man, that game was physical towards the end. They ended up losing Chris Godwin on the last play of the game. They lost Mike Evans with the hamstring injury in that game. And this is a sad stat that I'm about to see come to an end, is what it seems like. Mike Evans' streak of the 1,000 yards, I think it's going to come to an end this season. In his 11th season
right now?
He's at 335 yards with 7 games remaining. So he basically needs 100 yards per game from this point on. Guess how many 100-yard games he has on the season already?
0.
He has 0. Yeah, that's going to make things really tough. He is tied for 4th in the NFL with 6 receiving touchdowns, though. So he has been getting in the end zone. That's what Mike Evans does really well. Baker Mayfield, on the other hand, the Bucs have lost every game with Mike Evans out. So he needs his playmaker back out there, especially with Chris Godwin out for the year. They've lost all of those games by a total of 14 points. Baker Mayfield on the season, 24 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. 2 rushing touchdowns as well. So we're talking 26 total touchdowns, completion percentage over 70, passer rating over 100, 4 games over 300 yards. Baker Mayfield has been playing really, really top-notch football. It's hard to not put him in that conversation of the top 10 right now, especially being top 5 in passing touchdowns. Now, Baker Mayfield needs 1 touchdown pass to reach 25 for the 4th time. He's going to breach 25 passing touchdowns in his career for the 4th time. The guy that is no longer in New York, and today was a sad day for some, a joyful day for others, that Daniel Jones gave what seemed to be his final speech as a New York Giant, thanked everybody and whatnot. He has not breached 25 passing touchdowns in the entire 6 seasons that he has been with the New York Giants. Now, Baker Mayfield, another really good statistic about Baker Mayfield here. He has 28 touchdowns in 13 road starts since the beginning of last season. It's the most on the road of any other quarterback in the NFL right now.
That's crazy.
The Bucs are on this 4-game losing streak, and in those 4 games, the Bucs defense has allowed 30 or more points in 3 of the 4 games. Baker has multiple interceptions in half of those games. His QBR has been under 60 in all 4 of those games. Does not have a running back over 100 yards in any one of those games during the 4-game losing streak. In fact, the Bucs have just had 1 100-yard rusher all season. What's crazy is it was not Rachaad White. It was not Bucky Irving. It was Sean Tucker. So really crazy, situation for the Bucs here, who seems like they've been struggling to run the ball actually for like the past, since Tom Brady was the quarterback over there. It seemed like they were struggling to run the ball. I do think that they're going to need a little bit of help, but they are going up against an inferior opponent here with the New York Giants. I think this is really an alley-oop victory for the Bucs. Before I get off into my Tommy DeVito bag, I want to send this over to you. What's your thoughts on this matchup? How you feeling about the New York Giants welcoming the Bucs here to MetLife?
Well, first and foremost, I just want to say, Daniel Jones. I listen. It's a tough situation for that guy, and I will say this: as much all my Daniel Jones stuff has been on the field. It's never been off the field, and the guy handled the situation as best as he possibly could today. Tough look, and I think I think they're going to find a way to either just let him sit at home for the rest of the year or release him because you just can't have that him just floating around playing
I
safety.
think they're going to release him. Pretty sure.
Yeah, so tough day in New York Giants, but interesting you talked about that Tampa Bay running backs.
You know I had to give you a little bit of an alley-oop. I know you are a fan of the Tampa Bay running back. I ain't gonna plural it for you.
Yeah, listen, they're going to have to run the ball. They should run the ball against this defense. What's surprising is Tampa Bay, 10th in the league in rushing yards per game.
Oh, they slowly climbing up that ladder.
They're averaging $125.3 on the ground per game. You know,
the number is not as impressive as the ranking, but
it's not, which is
not
why I threw it in there because I didn't want to just give you one side of the good side of the story. You know, you got to get both sides of the story. But I think Baker gets you a little bit of oomph on the ground every game, right? Mm-hmm. He's not Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, but Baker Mayfield is. He's like a more gangster Steve Young.
More gangster. I
more
like
gangster.
That. Oof. Okay. Steve Young was pretty gangster, too.
Steve Young was pretty gangster, right?
Yeah.
But he wasn't, Baker Mayfield will hit you with a little bit of a dance. He'll hit you with a stiff arm. You know, I tweeted today, I said, look,
shit.
Baker Mayfield and Jameis Winston are two quarterbacks that are damn good quarterbacks. And I'm not talking Micah Parsons damn good, like how he liked to try to say that the Cowboys were damn good. I'm not talking Bruce Allen, who said the culture in Washington was damn good. These two guys, Jameis Winston and Baker Mayfield, they're football guys. They love to play football. They're good at playing football, and they're fun to watch. Yeah. And I think between Baker Mayfield, Rashad White, Bucky Irving, you might even see a little sprinkle of Sean Tucker. I don't know what happened to that, but those guys, they can do it together. They can all do everything too, which is interesting. Now, Rashad White can catch the ball in the backfield. So can Bucky Irving, and Sean Tucker can do it as well. So I think there's the versatility of all those running backs allowed them to plug and play. Getting Mike Evans back, which I believe he will be back for this game, is going to be pretty important for Tampa Bay, obviously. Mm-hmm. I agree with you with Tampa Bay, though. I think Tampa Bay comes back and wins this division. That's what I think. I think Tampa Bay comes back and wins the NFC South.
Are they two games back right now?
I believe so. 2 games back. But I think they come back and win the division. And listen, I talked about the New York Giants and why Tampa Bay needs to run the ball. The New York Giants, they're allowing the 4th most rushing yards per game. They're giving up 147.1 yards per game. Want to know it's crazy? We talked about Tampa Bay and those running yards per game, right? And, 10th. I'll give you one that works 2 ways. They're tied for 3rd at yards per an attempt. At 5 yards per clip, Tampa Bay is averaging.
It's interesting.
And they're going up against the New York Giants, who, by golly, have allowed the worst
yards per
most yards per carry at 5.3 in the NFL. Okay, there's some interesting numbers here. I'm going to go through these before we talk I almost called him
Tommy Tucklets.
Tommy Tucklets.
Tommy Papooses.
Okay, Tampa Bay is number 3 in passing touchdown percentage in the NFL this year. On 7% of Baker Mayfield's dropbacks, he throws a touchdown.
It's good stuff.
New York Giants are 2nd worst in yards per an attempt in passing. They're allowing 5.9 yards per an attempt. Tampa Bay, number 10 in passing yards per game, 236.2. New York Giants, they've also, allowed a lot of sacks here. And listen, those people, they said, the offensive line, we're only a quarterback away. When you get Tommy DeVito back there, you saw them sack numbers last year. Them numbers was going up.
They were bad. We're going to talk about those
Tommy DeVito is not Tyrod Taylor. Don't get it twisted, okay? The New York Giants have allowed the 8th most sacks in the NFL this year at 30 sacks allowed. Tampa Bay is the 5th highest scoring offense in the NFL, averaging 27.9 points per game. The New York Football Giants, dead last. They have fallen below the Carolina Panthers and
points per game.
The Raiders and everybody else.
Terrible.
They're averaging 15.6 points per game. Tampa
That is
Bay,
so bad.
It's so bad. I mean, it's really bad. Think about it. Tampa Bay is averaging 27.9. That's 2 touchdowns higher, basically, than what the Giants are putting up on the board. Tampa Bay is the 3rd best red zone team in the NFL. 68.4% red zone conversion. The New York Giants, 5th. Defensive red zone, they're allowing 46.4%. New York Giants in the red zone, dead last. 39.3% conversion rate in the red zone. That is really bad.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay is the 2nd best 3rd down defense, also at 50%. And the stat of the night is going to be turnover differential. Tampa Bay is a weird one. 0. They're at 0. Okay. They're flat out even turnover differential. New York Giants, 4th worst in the NFL at -6 in turnover differential.
The points per game situation, the turnovers, that's going to be a tough out for the New York Giants to get a W here. But let's tap into the man of the hour here, man. Tommy DeVito gets to start over Daniel Jones. You talked about it at the opening here. Jones was at practice today. He's playing scout team safety. They want nothing to do with this guy playing quarterback for the Giants. Came out and gave his last speech. As a Giant, he had a cut on his forehead, so we don't want you to get any more hurt than that.
What
okay?
happened there?
Not too sure, but I'm glad it wasn't a rolled ankle. Better that it was a little bit of a slice there on the forehead and whatnot. Now, Tommy DeVito's making his 7th NFL start, and him and Eli Manning have something in common here. And I tweeted this out today. They have the exact same winning percentage at 500. Tommy DeVito is 3-3 as a starter right now, and DeVito is undefeated at MetLife Stadium, which is a stark difference from what we saw from Daniel Jones throughout this season, where he was terrible at home in front of the MetLife crowd. Now, I want to give y'all a refresher on Tommy Cutlets and the version of Linsanity that we saw last year in 2023. He came in versus the Jets in relief for Tyrod Taylor when Tyrod had that rib injury, and he ended up completing 2 passes for -1 yards, and he played the whole entire second half. It was pathetic. The Giants rushed Jones back against the Raiders and gave Jones the start against the Raiders, and he ended up tearing his ACL in that game. Now, Tommy started his first game the following week versus the Dallas Cowboys. 14-27 for 86 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. The Giants lost. His second start was against your Washington Commanders, where probably had his best game in his career. He was 18-26, of course, for 246 yards. He had 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and the Giants ended up winning that game 31-19, which would be the beginning of the Linsanity run where Tommy DeVito went on a 3-game winning streak here. He then beat the New England Patriots the following week in his third start, where he had 191 yards. He was 17-25, 1 touchdown, no picks, and the Giants ended up winning 10-7. That was a really close game. His fourth start was on Monday night against the Green Bay Packers, where he had to go up against your boy right here, and he put up 158 yards, 17-21, 1 touchdown, and the Giants ended up winning that game by 2 points, 24-22. They gave him a very short leash after that because Tyrod Taylor got healthy right here around the Saints game, and this was week 15. And this was his 5th start. He was 20 of 34 for 177, no touchdowns, no picks. The Saints ended up dog walking the Giants 24-6. They allowed him to start against the Philadelphia Eagles for his last start, where he was 9 of 16 for 55 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. The Eagles won 33-25. Tommy DeVito's career, when you don't dig beneath the surface of his statistics, has not been all that bad. 9 total touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 64% completion percentage, 1,100 yards. As a starter, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception with a passer rating of 93.6. Now, he was sacked at least 4 times in every one of his starts but 1. Okay? He was also sacked 9 times versus the Washington Commanders in that game where he threw for 3 touchdowns. Tommy DeVito was sacked 37 times last season on 237 dropbacks. That's a sack every 6.4 attempts.
Oh, my God. That's like a 10% sack percentage.
It's bad, okay? His pressure to sack percentage, meaning anytime he got pressured, the amount of times it resulted in a sack was 37.4% of the time. Okay?
He looks like he would be more elusive. He's not.
He is, but I think he doesn't understand the speed of the game just yet. So he takes a lot of unnecessary sacks. Now, give him a little bit of credit here. He was pressured on 41.7% of his dropbacks last year. 28 of his 37 sacks happened on the road, but that statistic is a little bit, kind of fishing for something that really ain't there because he only played 2 games at home of all of the 6 starts. So he does have more games on the road. 99.2 rating at home, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. The Giants are 8-2 at home against Tampa Bay all time. I think this could be an alley-oop for like a little bit of a hometown hero vibes because Tommy DeVito, we know he's a Jersey boy. He likes to play in front of the home crowd to show out. You know, he's the story in his hood, right? Where like they're like, that's my boy Tommy. He went to Syracuse, man, backup quarterback, undrafted,
like Mark Wahlberg,
rookie free agent.
Mark
yes.
Wahlberg in Invincible.
Yes, that's exactly who he is. And when he gets to play in front of the hometown, the dude kind of balls out. Now, the sample size is a small sample size of a large portion of the however the fuck you say that shit, right? But it is what it is. For me, I put the keys to mediocrity, not even the keys to win. The keys
to not getting your ass whooped?
Pretty much. The keys to not getting completely straight up dog walked in this game. We need a strong game from the offensive line because Tommy DeVito is going to walk into a couple of sacks here. I think that Tommy DeVito lacks the balance of being able to look downfield but also sense pressure in the pocket. It's not that his awareness is terrible in the pocket because he does see some things going and he can have success by just tucking the ball and running and getting some extra yards, but he doesn't have that balance of pocket presence to look down the field as well and make plays with his arm. He's a guy that has not necessarily like a noodle arm, but he has very average arm talent. So I am very curious to see what the balance is like in this game, right? Are they going to run it a lot more than they pass it? I think a balanced game plan should be important here. Less than 30 attempts maximum for Tommy DeVito in this game. We saw what happens when you give Daniel Jones over 35 attempts. It's not a winning recipe. Rely on Tyrone Tracy, not in the second half, not in the second quarter, but through all 4 quarters of this game. And then I think you might be able to open up an explosive play or two in the play action, possibly to a guy like Malik Neighbors. Who knows? Maybe Jalen Hyatt, Darius Slayton, or any of these guys out there. You got to stop the run, okay? The Giants, you talked about it, terrible against the run. Bucky Irving on the ground right now is second in rushing yards of all rookies to Tyrone Tracy. So this is going to be an interesting matchup of 2 rookie running backs. One of them that I think Bucky was drafted in either the 3rd or the 4th round. I can't remember exactly what round. But Bucky is second. Rachaad White, you talked about him as a threat coming out of the backfield in the passing game. He's got 4 receiving touchdowns on the year. Most importantly, the Giants over the last couple of weeks, obviously the sack numbers have kind of dipped down. And you don't necessarily got to get to Baker, but we got to get Baker uncomfortable in this game if we want to have a shot. I really don't think the Giants really have a true shot in this game unless like Tommy DeVito's been out shooting some steroids while he's been the backup quarterback on the practice squad or something. I don't know. But I do think that there is a lane here to win. You got a banged up Mike Evans coming back. Baker has not played all that great through this losing streak that they have had. I'm not taking the New York Giants, but how do you see the score in this one?
Well, listen, all we had to do was this, right?
And we're back.
And then look what happened. Look who came out of nowhere.
Stop it. I was going to ask about this man today.
Tuto is in the building with a $4.99 says super chat says much love and respect to Authentic in the Beard. Gold Nuggets Jewel Master
Dog, where you been?
and World Roadmaps Librarian and diehard Giants fans across the pond. And please slap all stinky boys losers.
My dog. I was literally going to ask about Tudo today, man. It's been about a good 8 weeks, Tudo. I don't know if you was hiding. I know you was talking like 11-6 at the beginning of the year. Kind of try to tell you, man, Giants looking like a 14 win. But big shout out to the GOAT, man. Big shout out to Tudo here pulling up. Perfect timing, too, when we're talking about the New York Giants. What you got, Beard? What's your score for this one?
Listen, I can't do it. I got to go Tampa Bay 31, New York Giants 16. The Cutlet truck does not make it off of the Jersey Turnpike. 31-16 Tampa Bay.
All right, let me give my New York Giants at least a little bit more than the 15.2 points per game that they're averaging. I think the New York Giants could get to 17. Let's take it to 17. Let's go 28-17 in favor of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That's not too bad. That's very it's reasonable.
It's reasonable, right? I'm hoping they show up, man. But I'm rooting for Tommy. Last year, all that shit got on my nerves. I ain't gonna lie. I'm like, man, dog, we're 2-8, whatever we are. We're bringing in Tommy DeVito. Everybody's all gassed up, all
just don't
hyping.
win the game. Have fun, Have fun,
Listen,
bud. Just don't.
I ain't
win the
even gonna
game.
be mad at Tommy.
Yeah, don't be mad at Tommy.
If he wins the game, I ain't even mad at him. Do your thing. Do your thing. Go out there. Look, I can't expect the New York Giants to go out here and lose every game. All right.
I think you do, and you should. And they probably will.
All right, we definitely up against the clock today. I saw that the Amazon Prime game is at 8 o'clock tonight.
Nah, it's an 8:15er.
It's at 8:15. It was listed at 8. I'm like, are they bumping up the times here a little bit? But let's go ahead and talk about your squad, which I don't see the clip here for your game. Oh, yeah, I do. It is here on my side. Okay, I told you things got kind of out of whack here. It happens, man. But let's talk about the Cowboys traveling up here to the DMV to take on the Washington Commanders. All right, let's run through this setup pretty quick. The Cowboys are 3-7 and all but basically cooked, sitting on a skillet here. No playoffs really in sight. The Commanders are 7-4. Kickoff is Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Commanders by 10.5.
Bro, I ain't never seen that. Not in the 6 years we've been doing this, I ain't never seen that.
That is a new day, bro. Last week, the Cowboys lost to C.J. Stroud and the Texans 34-10. Commanders lost to the Philadelphia Eagles 26-18. Last meeting was when the Cowboys clinched the NFC by beating the Commanders 38-10 in Week 18 of 2023. This is a big revenge game right here. This is a revenge game for Dan Quinn, head coach of the Washington Commanders, also defensive coordinator Joe Witt, and a slew of depth that y'all brought from the Dallas Cowboys over to the Washington Commanders. The Cowboys have won 5 of the past 6 games versus Washington, but are on a 5-game losing streak coming into D.C. here for this one. The only Commanders win in that span was Sam Howell's first start in 2022. Shout out to Chris Peace one time. The Cowboys are 0-5 at home, but 3-2 on the road. A lot of that, obviously, because Dak Prescott was a quarterback. 16-4 against the NFC East since 2021. That's not even just Dak Prescott. That's just since 2021. They've definitely been handling business there. They haven't lost back-to-back division games since 2020. So it's going to be tough for them here with Cooper Rush at the quarterback position. But for the Commanders, with the win, the Commanders would have their best start through 12 games since 1996. It will be the first time Washington is 3-1 in the division since RG3 in 2012. So this is a big game for you guys, even though Dak Prescott's not going to be playing on this one. The Cowboys, just like my New York Giants, they don't have a real quarterback on the roster right now. Okay, Cooper Rush, he's lost 3 straight games. He has 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and 3 fumbles in those 3 starts. He's last in just about every stat. We talked about it on last show. Washington actually does have a real quarterback in Jaden Daniels. 10 passing touchdowns on the year, 4 rushing, 3 interceptions, 68.7% completion percentage. Daniels didn't have a passing touchdown in his first 2 starts, and he has a passing touchdown in all but 1 game since then. So the little rookie jitters or whatnot, those are definitely out the way. I do think that defenses are kind of figuring him out just a little bit more, but I think he is a dynamic playmaker that's capable of, getting off in a better direction now and learning on the job and getting better as the season progresses. He also hasn't had a rushing touchdown since week 4, though. So the running attack for him has kind of been, I won't say non-existent because he does have 2 games over 50 yards rushing, but just getting in the end zone has been a little bit difficult for him since week 4. No one is really talking about this stat this year, and I think this is pretty interesting. At this point last year, Sam Howell had been sacked 47 times. Jaden Daniels has only been sacked 23 times through 11 weeks of football. That is an accomplishment. Bobby Johnson, all the depth that they brought in from Dallas. And these guys were considered to be a worse offensive line than y'all had last season. And they've really galvanized that unit. And I know for you, it's exciting to see that. But we all know a decisive quarterback is an offensive lineman's best friend. I think that the Washington Commanders absolutely need a better game out of Terry McLaurin. And I think there will be an emphasis on targeting him in this game. He only had 2 targets last week, only had 1 reception. And the Eagles definitely did shut him down. Cowboys defense has been good in the first half since Cooper Rush has taken over. So I do think it's important if the Commanders really want to dominate this game, get off to an early start against the Dallas Cowboys. Don't allow that defense to hold you down. And I think that the Commanders could really coast to a victory, but it would not surprise me if the Cowboys are in this game late if the Commanders can't get on that scoreboard early in the first half. Let me know what you're thinking, and then we can go right into that roadmap when you're ready, bro.
Yep. Listen, last time the Commanders were 10.5-point favorites, you had to place that bet with Tommy DeVito's agent. That was the only way. That's how long it's been. There was no FanDuel or any of that stuff. Look, I mean, listen.
He do look like a bit of a shark.
Oh yeah, for sure. Dan Campbell eats kneecaps. That guy breaks them. Okay,
so he got somebody that does.
Listen, Jaden Daniels has finally had a full go of practice. This is the first time that Jaden Daniels has had full reps at practice in almost a month. So that's, I think, is something to be very, positive about. I saw some clips of him today. He looked a little bit more twerky. The ball had some more zip to it. He was banging out, those targets. It looked pretty good. Okay. Big thing here, turnover differential is astronomically different. The Dallas Cowboys have the second worst turnover differential in the NFL. They are negative 11 in turnover differential this year. Washington is tied for fifth best at +5. So that there's a huge, gap there in the turnover game. That's going to be very important. You're going to have to find a way to just be better at the things that you've been struggling at as of late. Okay, we're going to talk about a little bit about the rushing game. Dallas, obviously, they are really bad against the run. They're second worst run defense in the league. Washington's not much better. They're third worst in the league. Cowboys are giving up a $151. Shout out Bacardi. Washington is giving up
that stuff in a minute.
Washington's allowing 150.5, so literally only 1.5 yards less than Dallas. So, if I'm going to talk smack about Dallas, I got to be very critical of my own team at the same time. The big difference here is our ability to run the ball, which is sixth best in the NFL right now at 148 yards per game. The Dallas Cowboys have the second worst rush offense in the NFL. They are only averaging 81.7 yards per game on the ground. It's absolutely horrendous.
You know what's interesting about the rushing numbers? That the two lead backs, when you look at Brian Robinson versus Rico Dowdle, the numbers are not that different, which is interesting. It goes to show you that Washington's finding ways to run the ball with a lot of guys.
Yeah.
Jeremy McNichols, Austin Eckler, and obviously Jaden Daniels in the mix as well.
And Dallas can't find anybody else.
Yeah, they have no one else.
It's just that's been their problem. It feels like for the last couple of years since the downfall of Zeke and Tony Pollard. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the last real kind of duel they had. And Dak will give you some yards every once in a while. Dallas though, their offensive line is banged up, and they haven't been performing well before they were banged up. They've allowed the 8th most sacks in the NFL at 29, and they're going up against Washington, who has the 8th most sacks in the NFL. And you know how many that is? 29. So I expect Washington to find a way to get after Cooper Rush in this game and force some turnovers through pressure. The back end of the defense has been playing much better. Does not look like we're going to get Marcus Lattimore again. He did not practice again today, so probably another week without Lattimore. Dallas allows the second most points per game. That defense is giving up 29.3 points per game.
You can't win like that, man.
If you can't run the ball and you're allowing 29 points per game and your turnover differential is -11, these are all there's not like, some wavering middle. These are mind-numbing statistics from a Cowboys team that won this division last year. So there's definitely a big drop-off here, and they're worst at a lot of things. They have the worst red zone defense, and it's not getting any better. They are 74.3% in the red zone. Micah Parsons said this was a damn good team. Listen, Micah Parsons is one of the best in the league, but this team is not good, and it's unfortunate. Now, Washington is not really performing well in the red zone. They're going to have to find a way to do this in this game, They scored a lot in the red zone, but the percentages haven't been. So that's something that I want to see them take advantage of the weaknesses of the other team, which in this case is a lot for Dallas. Dallas has the second worst red zone offense at 40%, so they're not scoring in the red zone. This is the one that's really crazy. This is the last one before we get into the roadmap, is the point differential. Okay? Dallas is the worst in the NFL. They have the worst point differential in the NFL. They are
I'm sure the Saints game didn't help that.
-106. The Washington Commanders have the 7th best point differential. That is +65. So that is a difference between the two teams of 171.
It's a lot.
It's absolutely crazy. Yeah. So,
and the injury is going to mask a lot of the poor play that Dak Prescott was putting out there this season. I think when you look back at this, it might save Dak Prescott a little bit. They'll look at this year like 2020. It's a buffer. He got banged up. Yeah, he was turning the ball over. The team was struggling. But I think all in all, that it's going to take some attention away from how poorly he was playing, and honestly save them. Because if Dak would have played the whole entire season and this team looked like this, imagine they finished the year with like 5 wins with Dak Prescott as a starting quarterback. I think a lot of people would be really looking at that contract situation with a little bit more of a keen eye.
Absolutely. You know what's interesting? Before we go on the roadmap, we talked a lot about that team and that contract and that quarterback situation on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that we forgot to even mention, because I mean, it didn't cross my mind. I didn't think about it. I knew it existed, but only when the contract first came out. Dak has a no trade clause in that contract.
Uh-huh.
So
yeah, so you can't do that. And we did talk about that too. That's funny because we were thinking like, could you trade him? But he would obviously have to agree to a trade with that clause in there. That's interesting. That's good information.
Very
roadmap time.
Roadmap time. Let's jump to it. Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to hit the road.
I hate that celebration. Let's get it.
Yeah, you're getting on the freeway. What? No, turn right. Get out of the lane. No. Okay, get the procedure. Just get out the lane.
We're doubling down on this beat today. Listen, roadmap is very simple. One stop. Win. Don't lose.
Okay.
What's the roadmap?
That's it.
No, I'm just playing. RTDB, I'm going to need you to run the damn ball, Washington. I need 180 yards on the ground against this horrific.
That bar been.
I got it down last week, but I had to bring it back up for beat Dallas week, okay?
All right.
Listen, you're going to have to go out there. Remember, the Dallas Cowboys were jumping inside Salvation Army buckets, eating drumsticks, okay? I'm going to need 30 points from the Washington Commanders, okay? You're going to have to force at least 2 turnovers. 2 turnovers. Keep that differential going up, and theirs going down.
Okay.
Mr. CD Lamb, okay? Under 100 yards. He's the only guy they got, so you got to contain him. Under 100 yards. I think he only has 100-yard game all year long. Don't
Quietly
make it.
Still having a good year, though.
Yeah.
I think he's at like 775 yards. Not too bad.
90, 80, 89, 93-yard games. Keep him under 100, okay? Let's keep that going. And then you got to win third down, win time of possession. And we gotta up that red zone. I need a hundo% red zone conversion rate for the Washington Commanders.
I think, weren't y'all 100 last week?
We were 100 last week. And last but certainly not least, this one's a little interesting. I threw this one back in the mix, okay?
All right.
No more than 3 3-and-outs for the entire game.
Okay.
I like that. Smart.
And I'm going to take the Washington Commanders to win this game by a final score of 31-16.
I like the score. I do like the score. You know, speaking on the red zone statistics, something that needs to be readily available is how many points teams score outside of the red zone. I think that would be an important stat. I wonder where I could maybe find that, but
We might be able to find that on. I don't think it's on our go-to.
team rankings is not on team rankings. I don't think.
My go-to is the Pro Football Reference.
Oh yeah, sometimes they be like burying the stats. Like you got to find them in certain spots. It might be on there. I'm gonna take a look at that. You said 31.
31-16.
I don't see your offense breaking 30 again. I'm gonna say Cowboys can't. They've only scored 1 touchdown since Cooper Rush has been out there. I'm gonna give them a touchdown. I'm gonna say 24-10 Commanders.
Doesn't sound very butt whooping, but it is 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, you know, it's going to be like, think about how y'all beat the Giants, right? The scoreboard didn't look crazy, right? It was a 1-score game, technically, Mr. Joe Shane. It'll be something like that. But y'all controlled that second half, I feel like. It'll be something like that. But let's get off into this last game, and then we'll get everybody up out of here, man. Great roadmap. Love the roadmap. Let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Cleveland Browns tonight on Thursday Night Football. Them Cowboys, man, they're allowing 31.5 points per game over the last 4 games, bro. It's crazy. It's crazy. All 4 of those games, 27 or more. It's been bad. All right, the 8-2 Pittsburgh Steelers, big surprise, I think, for a lot of people, including myself, taking on the Browns at 2-8 tonight. The Beard says it'll be at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They better not be kicking off that ball right now. Steelers favored by 3.5 in this one. I thought that was a little bit generous towards the Browns. Last week, the Steelers beat the Baltimore Ravens, which is maybe one of the most impressive victories of the year, 18-16. They did not even score a touchdown in that game. The Browns lost to the Saints 35-14. The Saints got back on track after losing 7 straight games. Last meeting, the Browns beat the Steelers 13-10. That was just last season. And Mike Tomlin right now and the Steelers need one more win to get over that 500 mark, which is absolutely ridiculous. How many straight seasons do you think it has been that the Pittsburgh Steelers have had a record of over 500?
It's got to be close to like 17.
21 straight seasons without a losing record for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers dominated the Browns for the first 15 years of the 2000s. Pittsburgh won 12 straight, 17 of 18, and 25 of 28 from 2000 to 2014. But the Steelers, they are 1-4-1 in their past 6 trips to Cleveland. But this is a very different Cleveland Browns team. I do like the addition of Jameis Winston at the quarterback position. That has helped them out a little bit. The Browns have won, this is another crazy streak here, 8 straight home games on Thursday Night Football. They've won 6 straight games on Thursday Night Football outright. And the Steelers are 0-3 on the road versus the Browns on Thursday Night Football. This is not their first matchup on Thursday Night Football. The Steelers are on a 5-game winning streak, 4 straight with Russell Wilson at quarterback. And George Pickens has been eating since Russell Wilson has gotten to the quarterback position here. He had a season-high 12 targets last week, 8 receptions for 89 yards. He's got 48 receptions on the season. You can combine the next 4 wide receivers on their roster, and those numbers still don't add up to George Pickens' 48 receptions. In the last 4 games, he has 365 yards, 2 touchdowns, has an explosive play over 35 yards in every one of the games with Russell Wilson at the quarterback position. It's a tough matchup tonight, going up against Denzel Ward, one of the better cornerbacks in the league. The Browns got blown out last week, but things have been looking better for them. Denzel Ward did get his first interception of the year last week, which is crazy. He leads the league in PBUs, but the Browns only have 2 interceptions on the year. They also had Jerry Jeudy show up in a way we have not seen Jerry Jeudy show up in years. 6 receptions, 142 yards. He had the 89-yard touchdown where I didn't even see the reception. I was watching Red Zone, and I just see this guy just like zigzagging across the field running an 89-yard touchdown. So you're definitely going to have to get him involved if you want to see them have a chance in this one. Jameis Winston, man, I love the resilience from Jameis Winston. You obviously got to love the pregame speeches from Jameis Winston. I'll never forget the one where he was at that camp with Dak Prescott, and he said, I know Dak Prescott standing right there, but I'm looking at this like I'm the best quarterback in the entire National Football League. Jameis has been that guy, and after 3 interceptions versus the Chargers, he bounced back in a major way last week, 30 for 46 for 395 yards. Jameis Winston has a lot of games like that where he just literally lights up the amount of yardage he puts up on the box score. He had 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's played and started in 3.5 games this year. He has 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I mean, he's rivaling Daniel Jones on the year, and he's done it in 3.5 games. I'm really rooting for the Browns to win this game. I just like Jameis Winston a lot. You know, I do have a few favorite players on the Pittsburgh Steelers, Justin Fields being one of them. I hope they bring him in on some of these running packages like they did last week. But I just don't really see a route for the Browns to win this game. I think the Steelers are just a better coached, just a better personnel-driven type of team, and I expect them to win this game. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I am checking in now with some boots on the ground from Tim's Weather Center, and they are reporting. They are reporting it is 100% precipitation
cold
tonight
and wet.
It is 36 degrees currently. It is snowing in Cleveland. We have potential of at least an inch of snow over the course of the next 3 hours, with wind gusts reaching a maximum speed of 25 miles per hour.
Per hour. That was not a mistake.
No, consistently 13 to 16. It's going to be nasty out there, but don't let the weather scare you away like it did me. I got scared, and I didn't make any bets in this game.
None.
And I went all running backs and tight ends and defenses in my DraftKings lineups for tonight. I'm going to take a final score of 19-12 here, Pittsburgh Steelers.
I need to get you an effect for that vibe right there. Very well done. I like that. Score one more time.
19-12, Pittsburgh Steelers.
19. You think they're going to be another low-scoring game? I think Pittsburgh gets in the 20s. Give me, man, this is a very difficult game to predict. Like, Jameis Winston could come out here and
It
really
could, listen,
press
I
the
said
Steelers,
19-12. It could be 31-27
Right.
for all I know.
I'm rooting for a good Thursday night game. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers 29, Cleveland Browns 24.
That would be a good game.
Yeah, and we need them. Thursday night football, this is like the spark of the beginning of Week 12. We need a good game here. We can't, have a opposite of a boat race or a barn burner here, 19-12. We saw that with the Steelers last week. I'm not trying to see that. And we thought that game was going to be a high-scoring game, and it absolutely was not. But looking forward to seeing this one. It's always good to have football. It doesn't matter who the game is. These Thursday night matchups really keep me alive throughout the week. Big shout-out to everybody, man, who pulled up, rocked out with us today, man. This was a good vibe, good show, a lot of nuggets. Tudo even showed up. We got to make sure to get that other super chat from Tudo as well, too. You want to bring that up here one time.
Big shout-out to Tudo!
Oh!
With a 9.99 super chat, says Authentic in the Beard. We ain't hiding, mate. We're 8-5-0 so far this season. I had a few international matches, a few harsh suspensions, but I'm grinding hard. I'm hitting the irons daily, and I'm never making any excuses, mate. Fist pump.
My dog.
Shout out
my
Tudo.
dog, man. Big shout out to Tudo, man. Tudo is what makes the Giants YouTube community goes round and round, man. Big shout out to that guy supporting all these channels out here. Beard, any last words before we get them up out of here before kickoff here for Amazon Prime? Don't forget to turn on that Prime Vision.
Nah, man, if you're in the DMV and you need a link to the best pupusas in the DMV, hit me up.
Statement.
Because I got the best spot, the best pupusas in the DMV, bro.
You gonna just leave us hanging, or is this you have to have the exclusive text line to get this particular restaurant to know what it is? Or can we know? I
don't know if I'm allowed to put it out on blast yet.
Okay, all right.
I'm gonna just tell you this. I'm gonna tell you this. It's like East-West Highway, Riggs Road area.
East-West Highway and Riggs Road. Okay, all right. So we down there on that, the TP DC line side.
Yeah. Pupusas, Kai. Pupusas. It's an El Salvadorian dish. Big dish down here.
Kai's
in the
not hip to the
DMV.
pupusas? Pupusa trucks? Yeah, they be killing
it. Might
it.
just been the way I said it. You know what I'm saying?
Pupusas. He's beatboxing over there. This dude sounded like Rozelle.
Today was a good day of digestion of football, and like I said, we never not wanted to see Daniel Jones succeed. You never want to see a guy go out like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Never say never, though. I think this year was kind of like, hey, man, don't go out there and win no games after we 2-6, bro. We need a quarterback next year.
But you never wanted to see nobody wanted to see Daniel Jones playing practice squad safety. Let's just say that. Okay.
Yeah. And it was a little overblown. They don't need him for nothing right now.
No,
so, bro, go stand out there and, be a dummy for now.
Yeah. So, but besides that, I did think that he handled everything with class. And like I said before, it was only on field. No hate, no disrespect. Just the on field just wasn't there. And he knew it. He admitted it. And I thought that took a good, strong man to make that statement. And, listen, we got a lot of football left for the Giants to lose, Commanders to win, Cowboys to lose, Eagles to lose, probably win. It's going to be a fun weekend of football. There's some good matchups. The bye weeks are crazy this week, so make sure you guys check us out on the parlay Sunday morning, 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Do not miss it because there's going to be some people playing running back this week, probably like guys that you never thought you'd have to play, but you might have to play them. So we'll see you guys Sunday morning, 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Definitely. Make sure y'all pull up. Appreciate everybody pulling up, rocking out with us tonight. Don't forget to turn on that Amazon Prime. And if, you got your fantasy lineups, any players in this Browns game, this Steelers game, make sure to go set your lineup like right now before this kickoff starts. I hate it when I forget to set a lineup on a Thursday night football. But y'all know how we end every show over here on Authentic in the Beard. Keep raising that bar. Keep living those dreams because the universe flows in Technicolor and surround sound. And a life without dreams is a life in black and white. Rest in peace to the podcast GOAT, Combat Jack. Shout out my guy Lucas one time in the building. And that's a wrap, y'all. Enjoy y'all Thursday night football. We will see y'all here for the parlay Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's been a vibe, y'all. It's been our blessing to come up here and talk ball with y'all. We appreciate everybody in this Authentic in the Beard family on this small corner of the internet called the best division in football. Y'all be good. Enjoy the rest of y'all evening, y'all. Peace.
care.